Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with me this Sunday morning. We have some really exciting information to go over today. I know it's been a minute since I've been with you guys, but I think you will like what I have for you today. And I would like for you to subscribe, share, and like the channel, Widows Cafe. My name is Sharice. And I'm going to get right into it because it may be a little bit long. Um, what I'm going to talk about today is existential therapy. And this is a therapy that is really more driven by philosophy. But one of the things that I learned is this type of therapy is good for widows. It's good for other people too, but you'll see once I go through it what may resonate with you. So, like I said, it was really born from philosophy, so it's more of a way of thinking type of therapy. This information also comes from Theory and Practice of Counseling and Psychotherapy, and it's by Gerald Corey. One of the authors of this type of therapy, his name is Viktor Frankl, and you guys may have heard of him. He wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and he was in the Nazi death camp. And he said that love is the highest goal, and we have a choice in every situation. He said that everything can be taken from a man or woman, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And that really resonated with me because that means with the death of my husband, it was up to me to choose the attitude that I was going to have and how I was going to view that. And so that's why I thought this was a very important piece. Thrust into meaningless and absurd world, this meaningless and absurd world that we have, we can create and accept our aloneness, but create meaning for our life. So we have to, at some point, accept that we're alone. We come into this world alone and we leave alone. So we have to get comfortable with being alone. And this is another part of being a widow that I felt resonated with me when I read this information about being alone, because that's a huge part of being a widow, especially when you've been married, for a good length of time. And there are 6 key concepts with this therapy, and I'm going to go through those. The first one is the capacity for self-awareness. Number 2, the tension between freedom and responsibility. Number 3, the creation of an identity and establishing meaningful relationships. Number 4 is the search for meaning. Number 5, accepting anxiety as a condition of living. And number 6, the awareness of death and non-being. The capacity for self-awareness, because we are capable of self-awareness, we can reflect and make choices. And that is totally up to us to do. And we have to learn to do that just as adults. We increase our capacity to live fully as we expand our awareness. We are finite. We have limited time. And as we get older, that is very important not to waste time doing things or having people in our lives that take up our time and it's not meaningful for us. We have to think about that. But again, that's a choice. And that's what this type of therapy is all about, is helping us make choices. We have the potential to take action. We choose our actions. Meaning comes through living creatively. That's how we find meaning in our life, is being who we are and living creatively. As we increase our awareness of choices, so we increase our responsibility for the consequences. So as adults, we have choices, but we also have to accept responsibility for the consequences of our action. We are subject to loneliness, meaninglessness, emptiness, guilt, and isolation. We are basically alone, yet we have the opportunity to relate to others. People are free to choose among alternatives, therefore have a large role in shaping their destinies. Although we long for freedom, we often try to escape from our freedom. We try to avoid choosing. We have consequences, though, and our failure to act or take action, we have to accept what comes along with that. Now, I like this part where it says we try to avoid choosing. Sometimes it's easier for us to sit back and let other people choose for us. And that's even if you're married and you're sitting back and say your husband is making the decisions for your life. So it can be spouse, mate, minister. At the end of the day, we are responsible for the choices that either we make or we let other people make for us. Authenticity is the courage to be who we are. Number 3 is identity and relationships. Identity is the courage to be. We must trust ourselves to search within and find our own answers. Our great fear is that we will discover that there is no core, no self. Being alone helps us discover our authentic self, and that is very true. I have found being able to spend time alone with my own thoughts, it has really helped me in getting rid of the noise around me. So I'll cut off my phone, no TV, just spending quiet time with myself and my thoughts. That's probably been one of the best therapeutic exercises that I've been able to do, and to challenge my thoughts as well. Aloneness, before we can have any solid relationship with another, we must have a relationship with ourselves. So that is very powerful If, we're out busybody trying to have a relationship with everyone else, but we're not spending that quality time with ourselves, it becomes fleeting, really. We can derive strength from looking to ourselves. We have to be able to stand alone before we can truly stand beside another. Relatedness. At their best, our relationships are based on our desire for fulfillment, not deprivation. Relationships that spring from our sense of deprivation become clingy. And we don't want to become needy. We want to be able to self-sustain. We want to be able to think for ourselves, take responsibility for our choices, stand on our own 2 feet. And this is regardless of whatever the situation is. Life-affirming relationships. Clients must distinguish between neurotic dependence and life-affirming relationships. So here's some questions. Do you feel better about yourself because of this person? So you have someone in your life. So are you feeling better about yourself because you have this person in your life? Are you truly free to be yourself because of this person? Do you have an equal relationship? That is considered life-affirming relationships. And you guys can look at some of my other videos when I talk about being with the narcissist. That would be the opposite of having a life-affirming relationship. Identity. Fear of aloneness may cause clients to become trapped in a doing mode to avoid the experience of being. So you can become robotic and not think about what you're doing. You're just into this routine and you're trapped in this mode of doing. And when I think about that, I think about religion. And are you thinking for yourself even when it comes to matters in religion? Or do you just accept what is handed down to you? Whatever the minister says, you take it as gospel and you don't do your own research behind it. So when I think of being in a doing mode, that comes to mind for me. Also, it says clients may be caught up in ritualistic behavior patterns that cement them in an image acquired in early childhood. That's really deep stuff right there. So, being caught up in ritualistic behavior, again, that kind of goes back, for me anyway, when I think about religion and growing up. Are you being able to be authentic with yourself today, or are you still taking some of the ways you were brought up, say in religion, or just how things went in your household? Do you still hold true to those things? And you don't know why you're holding on to those things. So that's really what you have to challenge yourself with. Are there rituals that you do today and you don't know why you do them? So again, this is challenging yourself, looking at, does this make sense? I've been doing this for the past, X number of years. I only do it because that's how I was brought up. So you have to challenge, those rituals, because at the end, again, you're responsible for yourself. The other thing in identity is may have lost touch with true identity. So it's showing that if we're not being authentic, we can lose touch with what our true identity is. The search for meaning, here are some questions. Why am I here? What do I want from life? What gives my life purpose? And where is the source of meaning for me in life? Those are questions you have to ask yourself. This type of therapy, the belief is life is not meaningful in itself. The individual must create and discover meaning. So again, some questions. Do you like the direction of your life? You have to ask yourself that, especially as a widow. Do you like the direction that your life is going today? Are you pleased with what you are and what you're becoming? Are you pleased with what you are and what you are becoming? If you are confused, what are you doing to get clarity? Discarding old values. It says the clients may discard traditional values and struggle to find others to replace them. And that kind of goes back to those rituals. If you have a set of, values in place that you don't know why you have them, this is just the way you were raised and you're just going with the flow. You have to be able to replace those values with what's true to you. And how do you go about doing that? And this type of therapy can help you get there. The task of this therapeutic process is to help clients create a value system consistent with their way of being. And I really like that. It's looking at what's valuable to you. What do you want your life to look like? Not anybody else's, but your life. This is very important. Creating new meaning. Human suffering can be turned into human achievement by the stand one takes when faced with it. Number 5 was anxiety, a condition of living. And a lot of times we look at anxiety as something being negative, but anxiety can get us to thinking and moving in the right direction. So the healthy anxiety can get us to moving in the right direction. But with this type of anxiety, we have to think of death, freedom, choice, isolation, and meaninglessness. So it talks about existential anxiety is unavoidable. Life cannot be lived, nor can death be faced without anxiety. I'm going to say that again. Existential anxiety is unavoidable. Life cannot be lived, nor can death be faced without anxiety. And that's very true. Normal anxiety, it's appropriate. It does not have to be repressed and can be used to motivate us to change. So that's normal anxiety. Neurotic anxiety, that's out of proportion to the situation, and it tends to immobilize us. And that type of anxiety is when medication may be needed. So you may have to, see a psychiatrist if you have that neurotic anxiety. So those are the two different types, but the normal anxiety can be healthy and gets us to moving in a positive direction. The last one here is awareness of death and non-being. Death is a basic condition that gives significance to living. A distinguishing human characteristic is the ability to grasp the reality of the future and the inevitability of death. So we have to come to grips. If we live long enough, we will eventually die. That's what it is. And we have to come to grips with that. And I know as I've gotten older, that's something that I've thought about. And I'm sure you guys have too. But it's coming to grips with it and accepting death as a part of life. And when we can do that for ourselves, it makes it more bearable for us when we lose someone we love, because we understand death. And those of us who are believers, we believe that there's life after death. So that is something else for you to think about. The goals of this type of therapy is helping clients to accept their freedom and responsibility to act, assisting people in coming to terms with the crisis in their lives, encouraging clients to recognize the ways in which they are not living fully authentic lives, inviting clients to become more honest with themselves, broadening clients' awareness of their choices, facilitating the client's search for purpose and meaning in life, assisting clients in developing a deep understanding of themselves and the way they can effectively communicate with others. Again, this is Existential. Let me get it right. Existential therapy. Existential therapy. And the root word of that is exist. And to exist means to have meaning in your life, to find meaning in your life, to live an authentic life, and to be your authentic self. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I will be bringing you other types of therapy and hope you can benefit from it. Again, my name is Sharice. This is Widow's Cafe. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.